Welcome back to Harvard. It was like a scene out of Julius Caesar yesterday on the South Lawn of the White House. One by one, Republican leaders lined up to praise His Eminence, the imperious Donald Trump.
But this has been a year of extraordinary accomplishment for the Trump administration.
Something this profound could not have been done without exquisite presidential leadership.
I would say to the American people, President Trump has been making history since the first day of this administration.
Well, Mr. President, I have to say that you're living up to everything I thought you would. You're one heck of a leader, and we're going to keep fighting, and we're going to make this the greatest presidency that we've seen, not only in generations, but maybe ever.
Paul Ryan just said, how good was that?
Well, a year into his presidency, obviously little has changed for this president. He still relishes praise, craves reassurance, and seems incapable of letting any slight go, no matter how small. Well, today he tweeted, the fake news media is desperate to write badly about the tax cuts so as to please their Democrat bosses. Well, his viewing habits also seem to be the same. He tweeted today, was Fox and Friends just named the most influential show in news? You deserve it. Three great people. The many fake news hate shows should study your formula for success. From where I'm joined by tonight's roundtable, Yamiche Alcindor is a national political reporter for the New York Times and an MSNBC contributor. Charlie Sykes is an author and MSNBC contributor. And Peter Emerson is the Huffington Post contributor. You know, I don't know where to start. So I remember Haile Selassie used to get the Lion of Judah, you know, these incredible praises. He seems to believe it, but yet when Orrin Hatch, who's a man who obviously believes what he says, gives him this sort of almost religious kind of tribute, Trump says, good PR, like great stroke there. What do you think of that, Ryan?
I mean,
he undercut the guy's honest tribute. He doesn't even know how to take praise properly.
I mean, essentially, because I think even sees that there's something going on here that's not quite genuine. 11 people in total, I think, went up there and stood up there and talked about how great he was. When we know, as Capitol Hill reporters, you get eye rolls from a lot of these Republicans when you try to ask them off the record what they think about this president. Most of the time, they're highly embarrassed by what he's tweeted that morning. So to have Orrin Hatch up there calling him possibly the best president ever, he knows that there's some flattering going on there, and that's not quite genuine.
Charlie, what was that photo up about? Why did they look at the faces? They weren't like North Korean soldiers. Look at all the smiles in unison, synchronized swimming. There's Roy Blunt. There's Al, the guy from Young from Alaska, and then Vice President Pence. They're all there just grinning exactly the same proper Republican way.
I get that they were excited. I get that they liked tax cuts. But why do you actually have this ritualized fluffing of the Orange God King? I mean, and I also understand this is an interesting, tactic, to keep him in line. But I had the feeling as I was watching this, like, do you understand you're doing this in public? We can see what you were doing here. I mean, this is great. Paul, you got your tax cuts, but have a little pride, just a little bit of dignity left when all this is over.
They say, Peter, we know, I've known you forever, that you Republicans fall in line, Democrats fall in love, but they look like they were falling in love.
Well, I think
Orrin Hatch said, I love you, Mr. President. I love you.
And what's so cynical about that is that we both know that Orrin Hatch doesn't feel that way.
Well, how do we know that after watching that?
Because I believe he has figured out, as so many others, that if you pander, if you curry favor with Trump, you get what you want.
Okay. If you're Robert Mueller, Yamiche, and you're thinking about, is the Congress going to back me up if I indict this president come 2019 or end of next year? If I come out with a strong evidence, a strong piece of indictment that this guy did obstruct justice, will that crowd impeach?
I think that if you're Robert Mueller, you're looking at Mike Pence and saying that this is someone quiet but ready to take the leadership. The same phrase.
I'm sorry. Let's take the middle step there. 2/3 vote in the U.S. Senate to remove Trump.
Right. So if you're Robert Mueller, I think that you're looking at Mike Pence and realizing that, yeah, this is some praise, this is some showmanship, but that all of these people would turn on him because, again, all he has to do is have a bad tweet and everyone starts rolling their eyes and running away from reporters because they don't want to talk about it.
These guys are never going to push back. They're never going to turn on Trump. I think that was obvious. I think there was some speculation that once they got their tax bill, then they could throw him under the bus. No, what you saw then was really the taking the knee for Trump, and I don't think they're going to back away from that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Peter.
Well, those who think that there's going to be a constitutional crisis are as delusional as some of the Democratic leadership. They own all three branches of government. And we saw in the faces, as you said,
no
of the
crisis
soldiers,
there.
There's no crisis there. No.
This is astounding. I'll tell you, I don't understand it. I still have been watching the Republican Party since I was born, practically. I don't get this genuflection, this submission. Anyway, do you think it's going to turn the same way with Mueller? Does this really mean Mueller can do all he wants, they're going to say no thanks?
I don't particularly believe that, because I think when you actually talk to Republicans off the record and actually get their real understanding of what's going on, if Mueller comes out with some really rock-solid evidence that he's broken the law, I think that these same people are going to start turning to Pence and saying, well, you know what, we have a real conservative behind this president. This is why we have Mike Pence here. I don't think that this phrase and this TV is going to be that.
You're hopeful the Constitution would work. My question is, will people like Richard Burr, people that I think very responsible Republicans, Charlie, will they do their duty the way that Sam Ervin did back with the Nixon era and Judge Sirica did, and all those Howard Baker, all those Republicans did their duty?
So. You would hope that they would. You would hope that there would be this moment where they would recapture the significance of being a co-equal branch of government. There was, remember there was that long ago where you had Bush and McCain and Corker and Flake all stand up and and talk about the need to reassert the independence of Congress, and then remember what happened